you and you. Of course, I'm grateful that you are joining me on this day, as well as grateful for you that you have joined me for many days before this day. For those that are joining, and I'm grateful for you that are joining for the first time. My name is Frank Ferragini, aka Frankie Flowers, that is, of Breakfast Television, City TV, and Cityline, four-time best-selling garden author. I have a lifetime of experience in the world of gardening, and I come here each and every week. Well, I try to come here most weeks to help you go through the world of gardening. Normally, this is done on a Sunday. Yesterday, I was driving back from Quebec because my youngest son now has taken into the world of freestyle skiing, so he was there training. Last weekend, I didn't join you because I was traveling back from Disney. So I've been off for the last few weeks because it has been a busy time in my life with Breakfast Television, travel for that, travel for boys. But anytime I have that window of opportunity to join you, I'm here to kind of help you through this kind of day. And I hope you guys all had a wonderful Thanksgiving thus far. Matthew Amos is saying, happy Thanksgiving. He's still looking for a signature from Sid. We'll try to do that to add for your collection as well. When I was in Quebec this last weekend, it rained. Man, did it rain. It rained. From pretty much Friday night through Saturday, all through Sunday and into Monday. Rain. And here in Bradford, Ontario, where I reside, it's raining today as well. And fall rains are actually quite vital. We had some very warm September weather and warm, dry September weather that did put a lot of plant material underneath stress. The downfall of some of the rain that we're receiving right now in areas like cottage country is it will knock off some of the fall leaf color. And so we won't have that most vibrant, longer show of fall color. However, the upside of that is that adequate moisture before winter sets in is so vital, so important to make sure that plant material is not going underneath stress before it goes into winter. Watering still in the fall, I can't stress how important it is to make sure that our plants will survive during wintertime. It's summers that often kill plant material, not winters. When it comes to winter, we may be thinking right now with temperatures this week getting a little bit chilly. Many areas of the province and many areas across the country may be receiving frost. So it may be the time that you may be wanting to consider bringing in your hibiscus, your bougainvillea, maybe any other patio tropicals, some of your areca palms, your king palms, even your Kimberly Queen ferns to bring them indoors. Before bringing indoors, always inspect them to make sure they do not have insects. I always recommend spraying with a Bug Be Gone, which is an insecticidal soap, to make sure that we're not bringing any of those insects indoors. When we bring it indoors, we're going to put it into a bright room that's either west or south facing, and we're only going to water it until it's dry. And we really do not need to fertilize all the way through to October. But the key is to inspect for insects, bring it indoors into a bright room. And if that room does have some humidity or a source of humidity, vitally important as well. We got Debbie saying happy Thanksgiving as well. Debbie, thank you as well. We have Diane saying, happy Thanksgiving to see me back. Enjoy this program so much. Star Kiss, love that name as well. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Jen, happy Thanksgiving. What is your favorite evergreen tree? Something that looks like a Christmas tree for us to plant near a 120-foot fence line. Thank you. So I want to make this kind of comment as well, as when it comes to, we all want to have that little Christmas tree on our property that we can then entangle with lights to make it look like Christmas on a winter's day. And evergreens are vitally important for a property, especially if you want to attract birds, because birds in the wintertime will use the evergreens to hide into. Then they'll go out to the feeder because they need that protection. Evergreens as well can provide a windbreak for us in the wintertime, and they'll give us some green in the wintertime. There are several different varieties of evergreen trees. There are all the different types of Colorado spruces. There's just a traditional Colorado spruce. There's a Colorado blue spruce. There's also some of the different pines that we have out there. We have some of the different spruces indeed. But really, when it comes down to my favorite overall would either just be a traditional Colorado spruce or Colorado blue spruce. They grow 30 feet high, 30 feet wide. It depends on if you don't have a lot of light, then that's when a hemlock would be a really good choice for you at that point as well. And it depends on overall size and look that you want to get. There's even Weeping Nootka. The Weeping Nootka is like a really specimen looking one, but if we're looking for one for privacy, provide us wind protection, then one that gets quite large, look to the Colorado spruces. There are quite good that are out there. Question that we have here is how to overwinter a lavender tree. This is from Sharp Tracy. So Sharp, when we're overwintering a lavender tree, first and foremost, it's all about the insects. We don't want to bring those in. So spraying with insecticidal soap is key. The lavender tree will not overwinter outdoors because it is one that will be exposed. So we're bringing it into a room in our home that still has bright light with some humidity, but also gets a cooler overnight low temperature. The lavender tree is the same thing as when I'm overwintering my rosemary indoors. My rosemary, for instance, indoors, I put it in my kitchen. The reason being is I have big patio glass windows there that give me a lot of light because the house faces south. But in that room as well, it's one that actually keeps fairly cool in the evening. So it's almost a cooler evening temperature versus the daytime temperature. Of course, with the sun coming in those windows, it heats the room, but at night I let it cool down to about 10 degrees cooler. Watering when dry is super key. Is it easy to overwinter a lavender? Sometimes we're losing, we'll see that the lavender and or rosemary, same thing, they look really good up until when we get into late January, early February, when we're during some of our darkest days of winter, but as well as some of our coldest days when the heater's kicking on in our home. With heat being on in our home, it actually creates a drying effect in the house. And we have those drier air in the home, and that's where humidity is key. So if we can add a humidifier is so key. Jen saying something for privacy. So once again, Colorado Blue is going to be the best one that's for you. We got another little happy Thanksgiving out there as well. Helena, happy Thanksgiving to you. Christopher is giving us a shout out and happy Thanksgiving to you. We got Taylor saying, what up, Frankie? What up, Frankie, is that this year for Thanksgiving, I'm going to have my Thanksgiving next weekend, next Sunday with my family, because traveling towards Quebec. And I got to tell you, I was just outside of Mount Tremblant with my son this weekend. What a remarkably beautiful area. Some of the hills in that area, the fall colors, unbelievable. Going for a little bit of a hike and seeing some of the log cabins that are there and some of the little gardens that they had that were beautiful. Many of them actually had chickens, and then some would have ducks, and there was somewhat of an affection to growing vegetables that was there, which is really, really kind of key. So it was really quite good. My good friend Christine is saying happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much as well. We got Connie saying happy Thanksgiving. We have so much to be thankful for. We do. In the province of Canada, in the country of Canada, we have so much to be thankful for, given what's happened globally in the last few days with the news that's been going on and some of the real disruption from places like Israel to the Ukraine, all across the world. And we often forget about famine in other areas like Ethiopia. We often think about and forget about some of the homelessness issues that we have in the province of Ontario and right across the country. So be grateful today. Be very thankful. We can always look at what's wrong in our life, but let's look like what's right in our life. And what's right in our life is that we get to be here and talk about something that we all love, and that is gardens, because gardens give back. They don't really take a lot from us. Delma is saying happy Thanksgiving today as well. Taylor is saying, hey, I will be watching BT tomorrow. Question tomorrow, should I shave off the little scruff that I grew by being with my son this weekend, or should I keep it on for BT tomorrow? That's my question that I have for you. We got happy Frank. Hi, Frankie. Happy Thanksgiving. Can I bring in my basil plant that's in a pot outside? What do I need if I can bring it in? Thank you. Yeah, so basil, indeed, you can bring them indoors. It's not going to overwinter throughout the entire winter indoors. It'll probably last for another 3 to 4 weeks. Just check for insects. I always like to do it. Insecticidal soap like Bug Be Gone is one that's not harmful. So meaning that if we were to spray it, we can still eat the basil, which is really good. The other part too is you can consider if it's a big basil plant with lots of leaves, that we can harvest that and maybe make it into a pesto to use that and then freeze it into cubes that we can use and use later on. Key about basil is we don't really have enough light hours to support. So if we did have a grow light indoors, that would really help it out. Humidity is also key, but because we have drier homes with a lack of daylight hours, I can encourage you to bring it indoors and you can experiment with it. Put it in the brightest room. If you can add a light to it, a grow light, really beneficial as well. But just a reminder that it will probably not overwinter over time. We're getting the recommendations. I would love to see Sid Raju about the scruff. Keep it. Okay. We get Delma, which is having another comment question. Can you tell me how to keep squirrels from digging up my tulips? So yes, We're just going to talk about now's the time to be planting many different types of bulbs: tulips, daffodils, crocuses, alliums, of course, hyacinths. All those tulips are like a squirrel's favorite food. So key is after planting them, if you want to put a little bit of blood meal down, that will discourage them from the area, or chicken manure, pelletized chicken manure, really key. Also clean up the area where you planted the tulips. If you had any of those shells that are sitting down and around the area, it's a good indication that the squirrels are there, that the tulips are, and the squirrels will find them. So once again, blood meal, don't use bone meal, blood meal. Blood meal is what will distract, or chicken manure. The other thing is if you have a real big problem with tulips, plant daffodils. You'll always hear me, I'm team daffodil over team tulip. Love tulips, love the look at them, think they're beautiful. Daffodils are perennialized, meaning they come back with ease every year. Daffodils are poisonous to squirrels, also meaning squirrels won't touch them. So with tulips, we should be digging them every year after the bloom, separating them, a little bit more work, where daffodils are perennialized. And I know many flower growers out there that are farm flower growers are just not doing tulips anymore and just doing daffodils that are out there. Good evening from Windsor. Good evening to you too as well in Windsor. Karen's telling me to keep the scruff as well. So there we go, another vote for scruff. Deborah, hi Deborah. How are you today? Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well. I'm cleaning an area of weeds and will be putting down grass seed. Can I put the seed down this late in the season? Any other suggestions would be welcome. Normally I do it in the spring, but was unable to do it this year. My preference would be, we could still put seed down now, but we're getting into some cooler temperatures. A reminder that grass seed needs a temperature of about 15 to 17 degrees soil temperature in order to germinate. Right now, this week, let's say in Southern Ontario, we're seeing average temperatures of 13 with overnight lows of 7. We'll still get some germination, but not ideal. If it's an area where it's not that large of an area, you may be better off to use sod over seed. So if it's an area where you raked and it's pretty bare, maybe patching that area with sod is the best thing. I would do an overseeding at this time of year, not a bare patch, but an overseeding to thicken the lawn. And then I would do another overseeding in spring again. And once again, I use this season and over the last few seasons, I've been using Scott's Quick and Thick. So it's a faster germinating lawn seed that will germinate when we have these ideal temperatures. And it's a thicker, easier one to grow as well. Michelle, hello. Indoor plant question. I'm here for you. New Marble Queen Pothos, beautiful, has brown spots on leaves. Can you help with the overall care? Thank you, Frankie. So pothos, and I actually have one right here, not the same variety, but a normal pothos plant that's right here. Usually fairly easy. I need to water this guy. Sometimes when we have the brown spots on the leaf, it's either too much water or underwater. So really key for this guy here, I actually water him very rarely, not a big pot overall, very small pot. But that guy there, I'm only watering maybe once to twice a month. So I'm really allowing it to dry out in between waterings. Super key, but I'm still giving it watering. I'm fertilizing it during the months of March through to October, also very key. I just use an all-purpose Miracle-Gro fertilizer. But really, the reason why you're having the brown spots on those leaves is usually due to overwater or underwater. Allow it to fully dry in between waterings is really, really very important for you. I wouldn't say that it's a humidity issue yet, because we actually have not had our heaters on our homes. It's been fairly humid because in terms of the weather we've had during the month of September and even into early October was quite humid outdoors, and indoors without our heaters being on. That's also something that would be key. Sometimes your water itself could have high salts. If that's the case, then what you would do is fill your watering can. After you fill your watering can, just leave it and let it sit for 24 hours. So often when I'm done watering my plants in my home, I fill my watering can and just leave it full inside my kitchen. Some of the evaporation of that water actually creates humidity in the room, but also by it evaporating, it'll actually remove some of the salts and impurities in the water that's there, making for a better watering for my plants that are there. We got another question here from Cheryl Lynn King. Do we have to wait till frost to cut back hydrangeas, or can we do it now? You can do it now, as long as those hydrangeas are the varieties that bloom on new wood. So Incredible, Annabelle, PG hydrangeas, your Limelight hydrangeas, your Fire and Ice, many of the ones that are cone-shaped flowers, or if that flower first off white, are those that bloom on new wood. You can prune them now. I like looking at them. I'm looking at some of my Limelights outside right now. They're a nice pink, and I have some nice red maples that are Culminer red maple in my backyard that are just turning that red. the combination of the two makes me happy. So I'm going to leave those guys until we get some frost or until we have snow in the forecast, and then I'll prune them there. But yes, if you have time now, go for it right away. So we got Tasha here, and Tasha saying, happy Thanksgiving. We brought in our standard hibiscus, and there's black swallowtail chrysalis attached to one of the branches. Have you ever experienced something like this before? I need you to research to see if I can carefully detach. You can carefully detach it as well. I have seen something like this before, and it's kind of cool that you can actually then help to watch it actually go from that chrysalis form all the way to a butterfly indoors. I'm just going to pop this out so I can read the rest. To one of the branches there experienced something like this before. I may need some research to see if I can carefully detach it so it safely emerges next spring instead of in my house. You can actually detach it and actually put it, do some research. You can detach it and actually put it in your refrigerator and then bring it out in time after it's gone through its dormancy period. And then you can actually do it indoors, and that's something that'll happen. So if you want to, the Niagara Butterfly Conservatory, which is a part of Niagara Parks, if you want to reach out to Niagara Parks, it would totally help you with that for sure. Okay, a couple things I want to do is, okay, we talked about overwintering plants already. Lawns, fall fertilizer. If you guys got a chance this weekend with all the rain and all the rest, that fall feeding is key. I would like you to do it this weekend or over the next couple weeks. The the Scott's Turf Builder fall lawn food, key. It actually will put more sugars in the blade of grass, help thicken the lawn, actually help it overwinter and create a nice greening before we get into winter. Garlic. If you're thinking about growing garlic, a reminder that fall is the time to plant garlic. You're not planting the full bulb, you're pulling cloves off. You're taking those cloves 3 times in height. You're planting them in depth. So whatever the height is, let's say it was an inch, you plant it 3 inches in depth. If it's 2 inches, it's 6 inches in depth. You're going to plant them about 6 inches apart. Fall bulbs, time to think about planting and purchasing right now. Fall leaves, you want to remove them off the lawn. So if they're starting to fall, use your lawnmower with a mulching blade and just go and cut them. That'll actually pulverize them down, put them into carbon. As long as you're seeing the blades of grass after cutting your lawn, you're totally fine. But if you don't see blades of grass and all you see is leaves, you need to rake. And rain is super, super duper good. As well, I have a $75 prize pack from Scott's Miracle-Gro. If you share this little podcast / garden Q&A that you're watching right now on Facebook, on Twitter, or you're watching it on LinkedIn, or even on YouTube, if you share it, hit the share button. That's going to enter you into a draw, and that draw will allow you to win that $75 prize pack of some Scott's Miracle-Gro items that are out there. We did, look at this. We did the fall fertilizer today in the rain. Dorothy, perfect. So the reason why, lawn's already wet, you put the fertilizer down, waters its way in. It's a slow release fertilizer, so it will not leach in or go into the water table. It actually just absorb into the soil, and your lawn's going to be great that are there. We got a question here from Taylor. Taylor, how can I get rid of weeds in my backyard? I've tried everything in my power to get rid of my weeds. So Taylor, a lot of the times weeds are not forgiving, and it's constant removal. And really what we're trying to do is before we used to have some different types of selective herbicides that we could use and control weeds. But now that we're doing more sustainable and organic practices that are better for the environment, when we're removing weeds, we're just trying to remove the top growth of those weeds, the leaves on the leaves. That will starve the root system out. So after you're done weeding the garden, a thick layer of mulch is really beneficial. And then if you see some weeds popping out, you pull those at that time. But it's constant hand removal, and then planting a garden space so that we have other plants that are taking up that real estate, so there's no room for weeds to grow. Also really beneficial to help you out for weeds that are there. Tasha says, thank you, Frankie. I'll be watching your weather forecast tomorrow. I will be there tomorrow bright and early to help you with the weather forecast as well. Connie's asking about her jade. My indoor jade leaves are drooping. Any thoughts on reviving it? So jade is something that likes to be more pot bound, meaning they like to be in a pot for a long period of time. However, if we're starting to see leaves droop, and it's not because we're overwatering, because that could be why we're drooping leaves, underwatering could be drooping leaves, or if they become in a pot too long and there's all soil, there's all root there and no soil, they may need to be repotted. So it may need to be repotted. I would not play with fertilizer at this time of the year. So the three variables that we have is either number one, overwatered. Number two, it's been underwatered. Number three, maybe need to be repotted. And the other variable is if it's near a heating vent, now the heat may be coming on, that may be drooping it. Those are the things. So either we're going to cut back on our watering, or we're going to do a little bit more watering. We're going to repot it. We're going to move it to a new location. A reminder, a jade plant will do well in lower light levels, but it still wants to be in a bright room. That's kind of the key there out there. My good friend Christine is replying to Arlie. It's too early to plant garlic right before the frost. That's key because we want to make sure that the ground frost, and that's not just frost in the sky, it's ground frost. Because if we plant garlic now, what happens is it will sprout. You could still, and I've seen people still plant garlic at this time of year and it'll sprout, and you still have relatively good success. So if you are traveling and you have no time, you could risk it. It would be a risk, but the ideal time to plant garlic is right before ground frost sets in. That's overall that are out there. We got another little question here too from Judy. If you do still seed your lawn this week, can you still do the Scott's Lawn Food? Absolutely, because it's going to feed the existing lawn that's there, and the seed actually then thicken up as well that's there. Dorothy has another question. With the fall fertilizer taking the rain, we already said that for Dorothy. Thank you so much, Dorothy. We got some shares that are out there. What is the best way to get rid of crabgrass? So this is from Sandra. So Sandra, crabgrass is an annual grass type weed that germinates by seed. So at this time of the year, if you see some crabgrass, try to hand remove as much as you can, put it immediately into a plastic pail or plastic bag, and don't walk and broadcast the seeds that are around. Next season, you're going to use a pre-emergent herbicide and for lawn food, which is normally a corn gluten. So you have the Scott's Lawn Weed and Feed, which is one that you're going to apply in spring. That pre-emergent will actually coat weed seeds so that they will not germinate and it won't allow them to germinate. So weed seeds like crabgrass. So that's the best thing. So early spring, and that's in April, is pretty much the snow has gone off the lawn before weeds even have the chance to crack. You put down that corn gluten, which is the Scott's Fall Weed and Feed. That there will actually coat those weed seeds, but at the same time, you cannot seed your lawn for 6 weeks as well. But hand removal now, and then apply that in this spring. We have Michelle. How can I control the vines from Black-Eyed Susans? Thanks. The vines from the Black-Eyed Susans, you got to just cut them back. There's no way to control them outside of actually keeping them in control. So Black-Eyed Susans will, and if it's the annual type vine, it'll die back, but it can reseed itself. So you're just constantly removing, hand removal, cutting them back. So it's no simple solution. It's just a lot of work that's there. Matthew's saying that he shared as well. So you're entered into the draw as well. TJ. Hi, Frankie. My ground cherry plant is growing crazy, but the cherries have stopped falling. Is it dying? No, it's not necessarily dying whatsoever. I'd love, TJ, for you to send a picture of that for me. So if you could send a picture, it's Frankie@frankieflowers.com, Frankie@frankieflowers.com. At this time of the year, it could appear to be looking like it's dying per se, but it could be just going into dormancy. That's there as well. We got Claudette. Hey, Claudette, how are you on this beautiful day? Hi, Frankie Flowers. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. Had a great weekend, even though we didn't get any turkey this weekend, but had a great weekend with some friends and my son in Mount Tremblant. Happy Thanksgiving, Frankie. Happy Thanksgiving to you. There's the question, when's the best time to prune clematis? And that's from Janice. Good question, by the way. So clematis, we have spring blooming clematis or clematis. That is the species variety, usually a smaller bloom. We do not want to prune those at this time of year. We have those clematis that bloom into late spring, into the summer. Those guys there that are just finishing bloom periods now, we can prune them now. What we do want to do with all clematis is if we're seeing them on a trellis and they're actually quite big on the trellis, and we look at them and we say if heavy snow was to fall on them, that could pull the trellis down, or freezing rain could pull the trellis down and damage them. We want to prune them back so they're nice and tight on the trellis. So we can do that with all. Then what we can do is in the spring is just remove the dead wood. So whatever dead wood that's there. So we wait to leaf out, but we want to do always minimal pruning on any spring blooming clematis. On the ones that bloom later season, that bloom on newer type growth, we can cut those right down to the ground if we wanted to, and they would just go back and grow back, so we can cut them with total ease. Connie gave us a share there. Claudette gave us a share there that we thank you as well. Susan Staples. I wonder if it's the same Susan Staples that I mean there. Oh, the vine. Oh, okay. So the vine, which would be Black-Eyed Susan vine. I wonder what vine you have, because Black-Eyed Susan vine is an annual type. So I would love to see a picture of that, because maybe we're actually not thinking it's the same thing, and maybe you're calling it Black-Eyed Susan. So just send me an email, frankie@frankieflowers.com, so I can actually identify what it is. Question that we have here about weather, Cheryl Lynn King. Weather question, percentage of rain versus percentage of rain in the area. So when you see in a weather forecast and it says 60% chance of showers, what that 60% means is it's 60% of the area. So out of that entire area, the forecast area, 60% of it will get rain. It's not 60% chance of that entire area getting rain. It's only 60% of the area. So a 30% chance is 30% of the area. That means really isolated and or scattered. 60% means there's a greater chance of the entire area getting it. And generally, when you look at Environment Canada will never give you a 50% chance of rain. It'll never give you a 20% chance of rain. It's going to give you a 30%, a 40%, a 60%, and on occasion a 70%. Anything over 60%, the whole area is getting rain, so it's just going to be rain. Anything under 60% is going to be scattered showers that are in there, but it's the area. Good question, by the way. Cheryl Lynn, thank you. And for those that don't know, maybe watching me the first time, or maybe you're watching me from abroad, Monday through Friday on Breakfast Television, I'm the guy that's wild about weather, giving you a weather forecast. Been doing it since 2005 on the show, but I'm passionate about plants. So, I'm there giving weather forecasts and plant advice at the same time, which is kind of my love that's there. So just once again, a couple things to kind of overdo again. And there's a couple things I want to give a shout out to. So yeah, a lot of the times people on my Instagram and on my Facebook are like, why are you guys doing so much with Disney? Breakfast Television's working with Disney right now to do a bunch of giveaways and a bunch of different things that are out there. And I'm going to tell you that I'm a big Disney fan. I'm a big Disney fan because you know what? They do things so well. And I want to share this with you because as adults, and I know many people, if not all, watching us on this little bit of a garden Q&A, we talk about the flower and garden show that Epcot does. But if you want to go there in late summer into the fall, all the way from July the 27th to November the 18th, the food and wine show is like so good. There's some merchandise and things that's there for you. But the food and wine show is one that's just amazing. So some great gardens there, some great food, some great wine as well. And just for those that maybe are doing some planning and thinking about going to the Epcot Flower and Garden Show, I love it. Like, I love it. Like, they're not paying me. I'm not getting any benefit. I'm just going to tell you, the topiaries, the stuff, just because they have budget, man. They can do it so well. So the Epcot Flower and Garden Festival, I wonder if the dates are here. Let's see if they got the dates that are here. It usually happens late January all the way through into spring as well. The dates are not on this right here. Oh my God, Sip and Savor. Why are they not here? Okay, so let's go. We're going to do select tickets just to see, so I can guys give you some dates here. Like, we're doing it live. We're doing it live. Okay, it's thinking. So I know for a fact that it is one that goes, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the tickets are not, maybe it's not posted yet. So maybe they're still organizing that as well. So just to let you know, I would totally recommend the Flower and Garden Show, which is an amazing one that's out there as well. And then I just really want to stress to you all that sometimes garden tourism is really fun when you can go across the world and look at new gardens, new things. We're going and heading our way into winter right now. So before we head our way into winter, I really recommend for you to take pictures of your existing garden as it sits today. Take some time to write down the successes you had and the failures you had, and really journal like a little bit, even tonight, just do a little bit of writing about what you loved about your garden this year, what you hated about your garden this year, and what you want to accomplish next year for your garden. So because when we go into next spring, we can look at that, and that's going to give us guidance on how we can create a better garden for the upcoming season that's out there as well. So this is the question when they said, what can we put down Planting tulips so squirrels don't eat them. Blood meal or chicken manure will be really good for you as well. We got a happy Thanksgiving here, and somebody that got a gift of 2 snake plants, which is also known as Sansevieria. How often should I water them? During the months of October all the way through to the months of March, daylight hours are so little and we're so dark, and especially gray days. You're really watering them once to twice a month. That's it. That's really it. That's all you need to water, because they're really going to benefit from being more underwater than overwater. Savita is saying hello from Oakville. We got Susan Staples saying trumpet vine, not black-eyed Susan. So trumpet vine's a very aggressive vine that will actually start to put things and pop up into the ground. And with it, really what that is, wherever your trumpet vine is planted, I would put a really tight edge, like dig down with a spade and dig a nice edge around that area. That edge will prevent some of those roots from growing into the lawn and then sprouting out that's there. But any of those ones that do sprout out, just constantly remove them. That's the downfall of trumpet vine. Trumpet vine, beautiful vine, but one that becomes incredibly invasive overall. We got Cheryl Lynn that's saying a thank you today as well. Thank you as well. Brenda giving a shout out from Woodstock. Thank you. We got Susan Staples there giving us another little comment. We have cut it back 3 times this summer alone. And that's the thing. It is an aggressive grower, and you're going to have to cut it multiple times. There's no quick fix. And if you're hating it and you're not loving it, it's not doing well for you, then you would remove it and maybe do something that's a little bit better that's out there. Karen's also saying love Disney as well. We got Matthew Amos that's saying he loves Disney as well. A lot of Susan saying that she loves it. There's nothing like it, guys. There's Epcot right now. The Moana, some features that they're putting in there, and they're going for a whole revamp of Epcot. It's going to be amazing. Linda, she's got a question there about privacy. What trees do we plant for privacy in clay wet in spring and in fall? So a lot of the ones that are like their feet very wet for privacy, if you're looking for something that's fast growing, depending upon the height, Arctic willow, dapple willows, all the willows like their feet wet, but they will drop their leaves. If we're looking for something that is an evergreen, some of the white cedars and or swamp cedars will work. It won't do well in clay soil, so you may actually have to plant them or create a little area where you raise them up or dig them out. I would love to see a picture of the area, and let me know, Linda, whether it's evergreen or deciduous. It's Frankie at frankieflowers.com. We're going to go with the last comment today because we are at just 32 minutes, and I try to keep this to a half an hour. From Lori Smith, we are very thankful for all the information you share with us, Frankie. Have a great week. And to all those, I want to really say that I'm grateful for you. It's a pleasure for me to share the info. And you always have the opportunity to reach out to me, Frankie, with an IE, at frankieflowers.com. Send me questions there as well. I'll see you next Sunday at 5 p.m. on whatever platform you're watching. And I will see you tomorrow morning on Breakfast Television Live at 6 a.m. Health, happiness, grateful for you. Happy Thanksgiving. And let's just give all our families a nice big hug. And if you want, just hug yourself. Sometimes it feels good to hug yourself too. Ciao. Ciao. See you soon.